Greetings, everyone. Once again, it's Mota Wase sharing with you the authentic truth brought to us by Zulu Lassan in this time, in this era. So before I begin, I would like to thank Loba, the only and unique creator, to have allowed us to know the truth in this decisive time by Zulu Lassan, through Zulu Lassan, and through the verb. So, today the teaching we're going to be sharing is what is the origin of the magic wallet. It is a phenomenon that's going on in Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Benin, Senegal, Nigeria, and so on. In a lot of countries in Africa, there is this so-called phenomenon of the magic wallet that people call the magic wallet. And here we're gonna see where does it come from, what is the origin of that practice. So that practice is basically people giving money to what they call marabout charlatans, and they give them money, and these people are going to so-called duplicate that money, make them receive more money during a certain period of time. Now, here, as many of you know, in John 3:11, it says this: "Very truly, I tell you, we speak of what we know and we testify to what we have seen." So here, we're going to be sharing the teaching of what we know and what we have seen, according to the word, according to the teaching we have received from Zulu Lassan, the only teacher. So a marabout is also known as a witch doctor. So it's basically a sort of wizard, somebody that deals, according to them, with the spirits. So, does it really exist? Does the notion of the magic wallet exist? Is it true? Because it does attract a lot of people, and a lot of people fall into the trap of the magic wallet. Now, the magic wallet, it's sometimes represented red. It's red in color. And a place that practice a lot of that is in Benin regarding voodoo. So, for that, we are going to go in Kinye Ewo, so 1 King, chapter 23, verse 7. It says this in Bibèl, Karatambale, the only authentic Bible, and I will be translating it here in English for us. It says this: under the influence of spirit called Bedimo et Dingue, voodoo demons, in bracket voodoo demons. So voodoo demons are Bedimo et Dingue. They cried out with a loud voice, comma, and cut themselves, comma, according to their custom, with knives and machetes, until blood flowed on them. So, here is the notion of voodoo spirits in Bibèl, and that's what a lot of people are practicing in Africa and in some region in the Caribbean, in Haiti, and so on. And you're told that behind that practice, there is demons voodoo demons called Bedimo et Dingue. So here in 1 Kinye, so Kinye Ewo, so 1 King 23:7. These people who were in that practice, they cried out with a loud voice and they cut themselves according to their custom. So as you can see, that custom of cutting themselves so blood comes out was already practiced also in ancient Africa. And behind that practice were voodoo demons. And according to some people, during that practice of the so-called magic wallet, you will be told to spend that money. The person will be told to spend the money that they will receive from that magic wallet, that so-called magic wallet, to spend it. So they will give money to the so-called witch doctor or the marabout or marabout, and he's going to make a magic wallet, and then he's going to give that to that person, so that person will have more money than he gave for a certain period in time, for a period in time. And during that period in time, he's going to be given instructions on how to spend that money. And according to some people, if when the person doesn't spend that money, he's going to become crazy or he's going to die in strange ways. And we're going to see if all those stories are true. But we have to know that all this was already prophesied, and Mutatedi, who is the entity that guides and enthrones the initiates, already gave warning to the people regarding those practices. That's why it says in Ezekiel chapter 13 verse 18, it says this: "Thou shalt say, thus said Mutatedi, the entity, woe to women's talisman makers, who make mystical veils for the heads of the feeble spirits to surprise soul. Do you think you will surprise their soul and preserve your own soul from the Mundimakwedi stay of the dead? Question mark." So here, Mutatedi was giving a warning to the people. And he says, woe to the woman talisman makers, who make mystical veil for the dead of feeble spirit. So, woe to the woman talisman makers. And you will see that during the practice of that so-called magic wallet, they will be using talismans. They will be using those sort of items in the making of their so-called magic wallet. And Mutatedi already prophesied and gave them warning to the people through the prophets, through the scriptures as well, that woe to the women that make those talisman, the talisman makers, who make mystical veil for the head of the feeble spirits. Because there's a lot of feeble spirits out there that will fall into those kind of traps too, and be in distress after, because they will be losing money and so on. So, before we go any further, we have to understand the concept of money, because a lot of people will think that money is automatically bad or money is automatically good. Money exists in 3 dimensions. In ancient times, money was referred to as silver. So here in the teaching, I will be referring to it as silver, because in French, silver means money as well as the metal silver. So here, as well in Old English, when they were referring to coins and currency, they were using silver as a form of currency. So here in the teaching, I will be referring to it as silver when we refer to money and coins and so on. So money, silver, the silver exists in 3 dimensions. People will do anything for silver, meaning money, for silver. And that money, silver, exists in 3 dimensions, like I've said, in 3 phases. So there's the spiritual phase, there's the astral phase, and there is the spiritual phase, astral phase, and physical phase. So when we're going to be talking about magic wallet, because what's behind it is the pursuit of money, of wealth, of silver. So we're going to see the origin of, first, the origin of silver in the spiritual sense, because we start in the origin in the spirit, in the spiritual, And then we're going to dive into the astral plane and physical after. So, once again, in medieval money was a currency in the form of coins that came in various qualities and weights. The most common coin throughout the Middle Ages was the small silver penny, like I've mentioned. So it was used in the ancient time as coins, as money. So that's what I'll be using here, silver as money. So in Daniel, so who is Mukaisedi, chapter 5, verse 7, it says this. So we're going to start in the spiritual to reveal the origin of silver. The head, it says this in Bibèl. The head of the statue was made of pure gold. In bracket, Satan, the Mudima Bobe, evil spirit. So here is regarding Mukaisedi, who is known as Daniel, who in Bibèl was referring to the statue on which the in ancient Babylon. So that was in East Africa. The head of the statue was made of pure gold. And that was regarding Nebuchadnezzar, the dream he had. The head of the statue was made of pure gold, Satan de Mundima Bobe, its breast and its arm of silver. So here you're told that statue, the head was made of pure gold, which represent Satan. And the breast, so the chest and the arms were made of silver, in bracket, the fallen angels of the first order, comma, its belly and thighs of bronze, in bracket, the fallen angel of the second order. So the silver, you're told, represent the fallen angel of the first order. That statue was made of silver from the breast and the arms. And that silver represented the fallen angel. And we see this in the book of the fallen angel, chapter 1, verse 10 to 11. It says this: the first group of Bamuloloma, in bracket, angels, had the appearance of the brilliant shine of pure silver. Their face shone like lightning. Their eyes were like flames, were like flames of blazing fire. Verse 11, their bodies looked like precious stone. Their arms and legs shine like silver in fusion. So those were spiritual entities, angels, and their appearance were like silver. So they represented silver. So the origin of silver is not in the physical, but it's in the spiritual, because there's entities that have the appearance of silver. Some of you may say those are referring to the fallen angels. There are also other type of entities that did not fall that also have the appearance of silver, but they are of much more powerful, and they were way before those that fall, because the angels that fall of the first order here were among the last angels created, the group of last angel created. So that is to say that silver has an origin in the spiritual. And that silver had nothing to do with the bills, the banknotes that people currently use today. So that was in the spiritual, and silver always existed. There is spiritual silver. There's also physical silver. So it is like water. There's water physical that we see. And there's also spiritual water. It's the same thing. So silver exists in many forms. Now, we are going to go in Habakkuk, who is Sokane, chapter 2, verse 19. It says this, Who to him who says to the wood, arise, to a mute stone, wake up. Will he give instruction? Question mark. Behold, it is garnished with gold and silver, but there is not a spirit in it which animates it. So here I will repeat again in Kalatambale Bibèl Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 19. It says this, Woe to him who says to the wood, arise, to a mute stone, wake up. Will it give instruction? Question mark. Behold, it is garnished with gold and silver, period, with gold and silver, comma, but there is not a spirit in it which animates it. So here, it is a warning. It is an instruction. We're giving a warning to not worship woods, stone, all those things. Because there were people living in idolatry that were making statues of woods, of stones, and so on. And they were taking those statues for their so-called God. And they were worshiping it. So the people in ancient times who made those type of stones or statues of stones and of woods, they knew as well that they were spiritual entities, like I've mentioned, that had the appearance of silver. They were spiritual entities that represented silver. But for them, they were representing those entities with woods and stones, and were covering them with silver, and they were trying to honor those so-called gods, those so-called entities. So, idolatry. But those spirits, those fallen angels, who are of the first order that represented that silver, didn't go into the statues to make them move, to make them alive. So that's why the statues could not speak, could not arise, could not move, could not speak. So, their goal was to, in idolatry, that's also one of their goals, to have those statues and they represent them, they honor their false god, and that's idolatry. So, what is silver? Silver exists. It moves. As you can see, for example, in the manga Saint Seiya or Silver Knights, they are warriors in that manga, in that show. They are silver knights. They are warriors, hierarchically placed between the golden knights and the bronze knights. So those shows, that manga, they are trying to represent what has already existed, meaning the entities. So, now that we have mentioned about the spiritual origin, that there are entities that represent the silver, because everything has, the thing that we see in the physical also has origin in the spiritual sense when we talk about silver, gold, and so on. And there were fallen entities that represented also silver, of the fallen entities of the first order. Now that we've mentioned about the spiritual, people may say, let's go talk about the silver wallets, but we have to see the origin first, because everything starts in the spiritual sense. And now we're going to see the second phase. So the first phase was the spiritual. Now the second phase is the astral plane. So in the visible. So the astral plane. The first time silver is going to be the first notion of silver in the visible. Visible is also the astral plane. Is going to manifest in the visible is in Origin chapter 4 verse 18, still in Bibèl. It says this, chapter 4 verse 18. Origin is in Genesis. It says this, upon Mudiwe physical death. So Mudiwe is the brother of Pongise. So Pongise is Cain and Mudiwe is Abel. And here you're told, upon Mudiwe, so Abel physical death, because as you know, as many of you know, his brother did murder him. So upon Mudiwe's physical death, comma, his silver cord connecting the body to his soul broke. So here you're told that there is a silver cord connecting the body, so the physical body, to the soul, so the astral body. And that is called the silver cord. So his silver cord connecting the body to his soul broke, as did the mysterious link between soul and spirit. Period. At that moment, comma, Mudiwe's soul and spirit came out of his physical body. Period. Thus, he died physically. And then the following. So in here, you're told that during the death of Mudiwe, there was a link, a silver cord. You see the notion of silver appears again, and that is in the astral plane and also semi-astral and semi-physic, visible. So the silver link, silver solid, represent the link between the astral and the physical, the link between. Now, is that link solid? Is it like metal? No. Like I've mentioned, silver exists in many forms. We've mentioned about the spiritual form. Now that silver cord represents the astral form. So in the visible and the semi-physical. So the first notion of silver in the visible is, as mentioned, regarding the silver cord. Now, currently, they use banknotes, they use money, the so-called cash. Those are banknotes. That's the current financial system. But before, it was based on silver. It was based on those on that precious stone in ancient times. And so the silver money wasn't the banknotes. So what they call money today is no longer the silver itself. So, but in French, they still call it argent, so silver as money. In ancient times, like I've said, it was silver. And it was pure silver. That was money. Because you had to work. You had to purify that silver, that metal. Now, regarding the magic wallet, because like I've mentioned, behind that there's people who want to get rich, who want to have money, so who wants to have silver. And during that practice, the so-called voodoo and so-called marabout, so witch doctor, known as witch doctor in some places, some terms, they will use red, like I've mentioned. The silver cord, like I've mentioned in the astral form, represent the soul. And the soul represent the blood. And the blood is also red. And you can see in your blood, there's information in it. And if you're sick, we can also detect it in your blood. So there's an information in the bloodstream to see if somebody is in good health. That's why they will also use that red color without even knowing. They will be influenced by those demons because for them, they will pursue, they will try to manipulate people, they will try to want money out of it, right? But they won't know why they're using those specific colors or those elements. The red, like I've mentioned, represents the soul. And it represents then the link between the body and the soul. That is the silver cord. So that's what is behind the red color that is often seen during with the so-called magic wallet. Now that we've mentioned about the red color that appears, they will also use on those wallets white pearls. White pearls. And those white pearls will symbolize the link between the spirit and the soul. Like I've said, the marabout will do it without knowing why they use those materials and those colors. They will know what they want to achieve, but they won't know why are they using those elements. Occult spirits are behind them, are influencing them in the making of that so-called magic wallet. Now, silver itself is not something bad. That's why we go in Origin, chapter 13, verse 2. It says this: Senegal, who is currently known in the current classical day Bible as Abraham, Senegal, who is known as Abraham, like I've mentioned, who is black, was mightily rich in flocks, silver, and gold. So Sango was rich. The patriarch was rich. And he wasn't rich in Sefa. He wasn't rich in the current currency that people have, meaning the dollars or euros or the franc CFA that they use. No. He was mightily rich in flocks, silver, and gold. And you can see as well in Origin chapter 25, verse 64 and 65, it says this: When Sango's hangman heard these words, I'll repeat. When Sango's hangman heard these words, he thanked Mutatedi, the entities. So that's when Sango sent his hangman to find a woman, a wife for his son. And you're told in verse 64, when Sango's hangman heard these words, he thanked Mutatedi, the entity. Verse 66. Then he took out of his luggage some silver and gold jewelry and clothed and clothes, which he gave to Ngoka Nyaka to please her and bring her to her future status. So, that handmaid also went, and to please that woman, he brought out silver and gold jewelries. Just one moment. Let me confirm. So that was verse 65. So it was verse 64 and 65. So verse 65, he says, Then he took out his luggage Then he took out of his luggage some silver and gold jewelry and clothes, which he gave to Ngoka Nyaka to please her and bring her to her future status. So gold and silver itself is not bad, because it has its origin in the spiritual, and there's also silver in the astral, and now in the physical. So in ancient Africa, silver was used for jewelry, for pieces, for vase, weapons, plates as well. There were many uses of that silver, and they did purify it to make it shine. And there's also during what we call, regarding John the Baptist, who is the person known as John the Baptist, who is Jongwane. When we're going to reveal, if Loba allows it, later on, why when they wanted to kill Jongwane, they wanted to put his head on a silver platter. So on a silver plate. So silver is extracted from stones, so from mines, and not the current mines where there's some children working. No, in ancient times, it was extracted properly from mines, and you had to be skillful. It was done properly. You had to be skillful to do it. You had to work on it and to make it shine. And the countries, the people that did work on those silver, that extracted those silver and purified it, the more they did it well, the more the silver shine, the more rich that empire or those people were. Because they had to be skillful, they had to be good in their craft. And the more the silver was pure, the more value it had. So the more the kingdom had value, were rich. And if some countries, other places, other regions did not work well on the metal, on the silvers, and so on, and for example, if they had coins that were not perfectly round, for example, or were not as shiny, or were deformed, they didn't have a lot of value. So they were not very powerful kingdoms. So because of that, they were of lesser value regarding their wealth, regarding the wealth on their metal, on their currency, and so on. That's why, for example, you can see that even today, some banknotes, some currency have more values than other, right? Because some will, for example, in the euro, they will bind together, they'll come together, and use a currency and put a lot of weight for some in that currency and give it a lot of value. And you have, for example, the US dollar and so on. You have also the sterling and so on. So a lot of currency, but of different values. But before, it was based on the quality of the silver and the purity of that silver and the shyness of that silver. When the initiates, so those who were in ancient Africa, who knew how to work on those silver, on that metal, when they were working on that silver and they made it shine well, they made it bright, that silver brought out the magnificence of the spiritual entities. And that's why when they had those silver and it was bright, shiny, it had a lot of values, they were also very powerful. And they were wealthy, their kingdom, and so on. Because, like I've mentioned, it brought out the magnificence of the spiritual entities. Of certain spiritual entities. In Deuteronomy chapter 9 verse 5, it says this. Before I read the verse, like I've mentioned, in ancient days, they had a lot of silver. And the more silver you had, the more powerful you were. You were more wealthy. And the more your silver shined, the more wealthy you were. And when you worked on the silver, the symbols that would appear on it had to be approved by the initiates. That's why I will also read in Deuteronomy chapter 9 verse 5, they will also condemn him to pay the father of the young woman an indemnity of 100 pieces of silver for having spread false noise about a young woman of the people. Job chapter 28 verse 1. For silver there is a mine from where it is taken out. As for iron, it is in the ground that is sought. And copper is present in the earth's crust. So for silver, there is a mine where it's taken out. As for iron, it is in the ground that is found, that is sought, that they look for it. And copper is present in the earth's crust. Psalms chapter 12 verse 7. The precepts of the verb of loba are pure, like the silver tested on earth in the crucible, and 7 times purified. I'll repeat, the precepts of the verb of loba are pure, like the silver tested on earth in the crucible and 7 times purified. So, here we talk about pure silver. That pure silver which the value is recognized. Psalms chapter 65 verse 10. For you have not tested us, you will never test us, O Loba. You did not pass us through the crucible like silver. So the crucible is a vessel in which metal or other substances are heated to a very high temperature are melted. Proverbs 10:20. So here we're seeing the silver in Bibèl in the scriptures to show you that silver is in itself, it's good. It's not something wrong because the demons did not create silver. They did not create anything. Proverbs 10:20. The words of a good doer are as precious as the purest silver. The thoughts of a bad person are not worth much. So that's in the physical. So we've mentioned the origin of silver in the spiritual, the astral, and we also went through Bibèl regarding the purity of silver, how it was worked on. We've explained how it worked as a currency, how it was used in ancient time, in the time of the initiates in ancient Africa, how it was used, currency, weapons, technology, and so on. Now, the fourth phase, we're going to talk more than about that money in the visible that we see, that we currently see. And we're going to see the distinction, why the distinction happened between the silver and the current money. As many of you know, there was what was called the gold standard, where currency were based on gold, other currency were based on silver. And now most currency are not. They are just banknotes. And there's also an expression that many people use without even knowing it. They will say that this person was born with a silver spoon. We know that is false because when the baby come out, he doesn't have a silver spoon. But we know that regarding the astral sense, when the person is, there is that silver link, that silver cord between the soul and the body. And so the notion of silver, of wealth, is already within men. So people are already born with those notions, the notion of silver. Now we're going to talk about mystical currency, mystical money, banknote, silver regarding money, and so on. In Wunja, is known as Isaiah in the current classical day Bible, chapter 30th, verse 21st. You will consider for defiled the money which the whites will make to give you, comma. You will consider for defiled the money which the whites will make to give you. So here we are referring to the banknotes, the money that are currently used. For example, in Central Africa, there's the currency that is known as CFA, franc CFA. And that currency, it is the whites that are behind that currency. So that give it to the people, to many African countries, to many black regions. And here it was already prophesied in Bibèl that you will consider for defile the money which the whites will make to give you, comma. For the sole purpose of this money will be to subjugate you even more under their dominions. Period. So, as you can see, behind the current monetary system is basically based on nothing. And the people that manufacture it, the banknote, the money, they will push that currency, for example, the franc CFA, in some countries. And as is mentioned in Wunja 38, verse 21, the sole purpose of those money, of those type of currency, of that money, will be to subjugate the people and put them even more under their dominion. And we can see that even today. We can witness it. So here is regarding money and not the silver. Those now is regarding those banknotes that are not real money, that is not real silver, that is basically fake. In the time of in the initiate era, the coins, the currency was silver, and that had value, that had real value, and that was a form of an exchange as well. And when you had that silver and you went to another territory, they would not say, oh no, we don't accept your silver. For example, here currently with the franc CFA in many countries in Central Africa, if you take that money and, for example, you bring it in the US, the merchant, they will not take that currency. They won't trade it. You have to specifically go to a specific place to trade it. So you have to trade with them directly. And same goes for other currency. Not in all countries, you need particular currency to be accepted, to make exchanges. Not all currency are accepted. For example, in Canada, for example, if you use, for example, the US dollar, you may be accepted in some place, the euro. But if you bring, for example, the pesos, they probably won't accept it unless you go to a specific bank. If you bring the franc CFA, if you bring the naira, the Nigerian naira to a store or to another place, they won't accept it. But in ancient times, when they used the silver in all territories, you had that silver, it was accepted everywhere because it had real value. Currently, there's a lot of manipulation of values, and as you know, there's a lot of corruption as well behind the current monetary system. So that's regarding money. So as you can see, there's a distinction between the silver that was used and the current money that is now in use, in circulation. And it is now that money, those banknotes, that the so-called marabout, the so-called voodoo will use to so-called duplicate, and to so-called use in their magic wallet. Meaning, if the person bring the currency, for example, franc CFA, is give that to the marabout, and according to them, is going to make the wallet, and then the wallet is going to give him back franc CFA. It's not going to give him US dollar. It's going to give him the same currency as he gave. Now, how people explain that thing? How does the people explain how it happened? How does it make sense for them in their conceptualization of things? They will try to claim that for the marabout, the so-called witch doctor, in the voodoo and other sort of practices of spiritism and so on, fake spiritism and so on, They will claim that the spirit will speak to that person, to that marabout, and will explain to him how to do the wallet, how to make the wallet. And the marabout will make statues, will make the thing, and will make a statue and will address the genie. So we'll address that spirit. So we'll address those demons. And the genie, that demon, will make the bills come out of that wallet. So you see, the marabout then will, so the marabout, in short, will invoke the spirit so that the spirit can make the wallet magic, can make the magic wallet work. So the marabout himself is going to work on the wallet and invoke the genie. Now, how are they going to explain that? For example, you're going to give the marabout 10,000 CFA, for example, and then the bills are going to increase. You're going to receive more bills. How are they going to explain it? They're going to say that the first bill is going to attract the other bills. How? According to them, because the banknotes, that's what they say. That's what they claim. So the banknotes, as you know, is made somewhere. It's made somewhere. In, for example, the so-called what they will say. Sometimes it's not even the central bank; it's other places that makes it. So the place that makes those banknotes, they will have the printers, the special printers, and so on. And they will have the numbers in it. So they will have the printers that will go and print the money. So according to them, the genie, that spirit, that so-called demons, will go where the money is being printed. That's according to them, according to some. Will go where that money is being printed. Take it and then put it in the wallet. That's how they will say that's the magic wallet. So you give a certain amount of money, and then the demon, the genie, gonna go to that spirit, will go take those. For example, if you give CFA, it will go to the printer where they print the CFA, and then take those funds, put it in the wallet. If you give US dollar, it's gonna go where they print the US dollar from the printer, and then put it in the wallet. That's how, according to some, it is done. That's how it happened, according to some. First, as you know, here we're going to expose that practice. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Because it's a scheme. How are they going to say that the marabout needs you to give him money first so that he can make the other thing appear? Can he not just if it was the case, can he not just make the money appear right away without you giving him? Because for them, they're going to say that the magic wallet is because the so-called spirits love them so much that they want to help people out. That's how they claim. They will say, if you have financial problem and so on, just bring this amount of money and you'll be saved. You'll be helped. The marabout will help you. So according to them, that spirit is a good spirit, according to them. Well, if it is such a good spirit, why doesn't he just go take the money and put it without you having to give him money first? Why do you need to give him money first? That's already the first anomaly in that story makes no sense. If that so-called spirit is so benevolent, why does he need you to give him a certain amount first? All the testimonies out there that said, oh yes, before I was skeptical, I did try the magic wallet, I called that person, I called that marabout, I called that guy, and he worked. I received money, I was rich. All those are lies. All those testimonies are false. They are partners in crimes. They just work together. They are accomplices. They are in the lodge. Basically, they work together. The people that give testimony that it works, they work together with the partner of the so-called voodoo and so on. They work together how? Because they're going to go out and give them publicity that it worked. And the people that, the feeble-minded, the feeble spirits, the people who are not the naive, they will fall into that trap because they are going to believe them. Because if no one said that it worked, then people will be a lot more skeptical. You see? But because there are some people out there that claims that it works, gullible people are going to believe them right away, are going to say, oh, I'm also in that situation. I'm skeptical. Maybe if I try, it's going to work for me. And then they're going to give the money. And then they're not going to hear back. Their money is going to be taken. You will see as well a lot of testimonies, a lot of testimonies of people who've given out money and were basically taken advantage of. So how the scheme works is that the so-called marabout, the people who organize that scheme, they will pick some people. They're gonna pick some people that they're gonna say, okay, we are going to give you the money in the so-called magic wallet, but you have to go out and you have to make it known. You have to make it public. You have to go, for example, you have to film it. You have to present it to everyone on social media or in clubs, in bars, and so on. You have to spend it a lot. You have to show off that you have a lot of money. And you have to also say, contact that person. That's how they work. That's how they work. And how is it then that the people, for example, they're going to give testimony that, okay, that person did a magic wallet, but he did not spend that money as he was told, and then he died in mysterious ways, or he became crazy, and so on. How does that work? It's because when they give the so-called magic wallet, the people who are in voodoo, what they use is basically, they use plants. They use certain powder of plants that they know the effect. So when they're going to touch that person, when they're going to give the wallet to that person, they're going to also smear those powder into those persons. And they will know what is the antidote to those powder that they gave. So when you will be touched with those, when those person will be touched with those powder, it's going to go inside their skin, inside their bloodstream. So it's going to affect their body. And if they don't have the antidote, they will suffer, or they will die, or they will become like in a zombie state or like crazy. You see, that's how it works. That's what's behind the voodoo. Is because they simply know how to use the plants. They simply know how to use the special powder, but they don't have any power. If they didn't, if it's not the plants, if it's not that powder, how they don't have any power at all. So all those, that magic wallet, that so-called magic wallet, is not magical at all. It's fake, it's lies, it's a scheme, it's fraud. That's what it is. It's a fraud on a massive scale, and you see that a lot in a lot of countries, and now a lot in social medias, on Facebook and so on. You're going to see people writing out, it works 100%, contact this person, contact that voodoo, that marabout. They're going to give the link, WhatsApp, and so on. All that to take people in. It's basically a trap. They're setting up traps. And to entrap people, they are using some of the money that those people in the scheme, they will use some of the money for that publicity. That's basically as it is a business. So for some of the money, they will use it as a publicity for ads fund, basically, where they will give it to some people, and you take that money, show off, buy things, buy luxurious things, show off, go online, promote, because they are in cahoots. They are working together. They are accomplices. And when they're going to go out, they are going to set more traps for more people to make it seem, and more people are going to fall into it. So the money they're spending in those people that go out and show off their money, that they so-called win it or got it from the magic wallet, they know that they're going to receive a lot more from the people they're going to attract. That's how it works. It's basically a pyramid scheme. It's also, for example, like the banking system, right? You're gonna give the money to the bank. A lot of people are gonna put their money in the bank. But for example, the person that is wealthy, that has, the day he wants to withdraw a large fund, for example, he wants to withdraw, if he has $1 million in the bank, he wants to withdraw that 1 million. Sometimes the bank, or if you want to withdraw a large amount, let's say 100,000 or 10,000 and so on. Sometimes they're going to say, no, you have a limit that you can withdraw. If you want to, sometimes the limit is $500. Sometimes the daily limit is 10,000. Right? Sometimes you cannot even go to the bank, withdraw 20,000. They say you have to give warning. You have to say, okay, I want to withdraw, and then they're gonna prepare the funds, and then you're gonna come back and then pick up the money. You see, because the money that you put in the bank is not in the bank; it's being worked somewhere else. They're doing a lot of transactions with that money. All right, and when people come and ask, all they do is, okay, we're gonna stop this transaction. We're gonna take some here. Here's your money, and then a lot more people that those funds are working here. Same in Africa and other countries as well. So it's the same thing for the magic wallet. A lot of people out there are falling into the trap. They're giving the money. You see, there are a lot of people giving the money. So the people who are behind the scheme in the lodge, who work that thing, they receive the money, and they keep it for themselves. They make it work somewhere else. They don't give it to you back. When you're going to call the number back, it's going to be disconnected. You're not going to receive an answer. You're not going to hear back because they already took your money. But their accomplices, they're going to be working with their accomplices, where they're going to take the money that they receive from a lot of people. They're going to take a portion of that money they receive from a lot of people that they've frauded, that they've that they've taken, that they've stole their money, because that's basically what it is. They're stealing money. And they're going to give a portion to that to their accomplices to go show off, go to the public, expose yourself, show off, say you have a lot of money, say you did the magic wallet and it works for you. You see, that's how it works. It's a pyramidal scheme, pyramid system. People have testified that they've been taken advantage of in those so-called magic wallet. And behind that, demons are behind. Evil spirits are behind. And like I've mentioned, they will sacrifice a portion of the money that they received to give to some specific people to go out and make publicity. So, what is behind that practice? We can see that as well in Esombe chapter 48, verse 7. For the love of money is the root of all ailments. So ailment is ill or evil. So the root of, for the love of money is the root of all ailments. And some, being possessed, have strayed from the faith, and have thrown themselves into many torments. So the root behind all that is ailment. Is the love of money, because some of them, they love money so much. Some people like money more than their family. Some people will kill for money, will steal, will hurt people for financial gain. And that's what you see. Those people out there that go and parade and say they've received the magic wallet, they're accomplices. They work to extort people, to steal money for people. And the people in the voodoo, the so-called magic wallet, and those marabout, those charlatans, that's who they are. They work, for them it's a business, it's about money, it's about getting rich, and they don't care about the consequences, they don't care about what it does to other people. So all those people out there that you see in social media promoting the so-called magic wallet in many social websites and so on, it's fake. Those people, they don't have a spiritual consciousness. They have no conscience. None. They just want vanity. To show to people that they're so-called made it. They're gonna say, when they're gonna go to the magic wall, they're gonna ask, when they're gonna entrap people, they're gonna say, how much do you want? How much do you want? People are gonna say, I want 100,000 every day for a year. You see, that I want this amount for a month, for 2 months, you see. Sometimes they will give to those accomplices to gain more followers, to gain more, to entrap more people, to rip them off. It's basically the same system as the fake pastors that they do miracle, that they so-called do miracle or miracles. They will, for example, say, oh no, this woman, she was ill, and she couldn't walk. And then she's gonna say, oh, she's gonna give the testimony, the pastor, or they're gonna make a show where the pastor deliver her or cure her. But it's all a show. They're accomplices. They are in the same boat. They are working together to induce people in the lie. It's fraud. Because they know that the more they're gonna so-called do miracles in their churches, the more they're gonna have followers, the more they're gonna ask for money. You see, the more money they're gonna receive, the more they will be popular. You see. Now, another proof that practice is false. It's if the so-called voodoo or the so-called marabout that do this magic wallet, and they claim they have some sort of spiritual power, which they don't. They're gonna say, okay, they're working with spirits, right? But they're not the richest people on earth. Then they're not even considered, compared to other people, they're not even rich. You see? So how is it that they have the so-called magic wallet that can give them duplicate money? They're working with the so-called demons, the spirits, the genie. But according to some, the most rich person in Africa is Dangote. Did that person work with magic wallet? So how are the voodoo people that claim they're so powerful, that claim the marabout that claim that they're able to do the magic wallet, how are they not the richest people on earth? Can you explain that to me? How are they not richer than, for example, Bill Gates and other well-known celebrities that have money, or so-called celebrities that have money? Why are they not the wealthiest on the earth? Since they have the ability to duplicate money. That's how you know it's all false, it's all fake. Those people who, for example, Dangote and the other who are rich, according to some, in the visible regarding wealth, regarding money, did they ask for the magic wallet? How did they do it? How did they get their money? You see, the magic wallet, it's all fake. They're just trying to abuse people who are naive and who are in precarious situation where they maybe they are living in financial instability, and they think a quick way to get rich is to go with the magic wallet. And then they're going to give that money away, and then they're going to be even in deeper trouble. So the so-called marabout and voodoo people, they don't have any power. All they do is they work with powder. They don't see the demons. They don't communicate with the spirits. They're influenced by the demons to do those sort of things, because some people are influenced because of they pursue money, they like vanity. In the so-called magic wallet system, in their system, in these sort of enterprises or fake enterprises, they have many branches, and in the many branches, some they will use the sacrifice. They'll say you have to do this. It's like a lodge. It's like a cult. You have to do this. You have to. So some of them are gonna ask people to for example, sleep with homeless women. You have to get naked in front of people. You see what type of nonsense? What type of occult practices are this? They cannot multiply bills. All that are fake. We'll see this in Psalms 41 verse 9. Prophecy on one of the two. Even he with whom I am at peace, who has my trust and who ate my bread, was inhabited by demons of visible wealth at a short instant. So here the prophecy was regarding Kundumani Mula, Joki Sabe, the true Christ, and the person known as Judah, Soma, who was inhabited for a short instant by the demons of visible wealth, of visible riches. And it is those demons that are at work behind the magic wallet. It is them. It is demons that are at work to make people suffer even more, make people do things against the law, against the verb of loba, to bring them further away from the truth. Because some people are going to believe in the so-called witch doctor, the so-called marabout, the so-called voodoo pastors, or so on, the so-called spiritists, and so on. Some of them will believe in them, and they're going to think they have a power. So they're pulling them away and away from the truth, from the true spirituality, from the true essence, from the source, from Loba, from the verb of Loba, from the teachings that we are receiving, from sanctification. That's their goal, and that's what they are doing. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 12 to 13. Under the sun, I have noticed a distressing situation, that of a man who has put his riches in reserve, and he causes his misfortune. Verse 13. These riches are lost by some unfortunate event caused by the demons of circumstances. He begot a son, and there is nothing left in his hand. So, some people then will say that they will try to say that these voodoo pastors or witch doctor, wizard, they have so many so-called names and titles out there. They'll claim that they have power, that if you don't walk, if you don't do what they say, they can make things happen, bad things happen to you. And they're going to say, for example, they can make your business fall, or your business venture fall, and so on. How does it happen? How does, for example, one person who had a lot of money, for example, he had a lot of money, a lot of wealth, for example, in those so-called magic wallet and so on, or he accumulates a lot of wealth in reserve. How does it happen then that some event happen where that person loses that money? Because there's a lot of superstition in Africa. A lot. A lot of people believe in those so-called spiritism and so on. Meaning, everything that happened, they will say, oh no, it's because of that marabout, or it's because of that witch doctor, or it's because of that voodoo priest, or that grandparents. It's because of them, they did something. How does it happen? How does misfortune, so-called misfortune, unfortunate events happen? For example, when people have a lot of money, a lot of wealth, and then all behind that is demons of circumstances. Demons of circumstances. For example, when a person is going to do a project, he's going to try to do a project, he's going to try to think, okay, I want to do this, I want to invest here. He's going to put the money in this project. He's going to give that money to some people. And those people, some of them are corrupt, and they are influenced by those demons of circumstances. So those demons of the visible wealth, demons are behind, working, and then working on that person. And when that person receives the money, is not going to do what he says he's going to do. He's going to do something else. He's going to take the money, fraud, go somewhere else, fly away with your money. Behind is demons of circumstances. It's because a lot of people are influenced. A lot of people have bad intention. When they have the money, they are corrupt. And behind that corruption, behind those thoughts, those is demons that are influencing them. So demons sometimes they're going to play a big role in influencing people into ripping other people off, into flying away with people's money, into stealing other people's money, into when the money is invested for a certain thing, in the demon is going to influence other people, ill intent people, to steal that money away. That's how it happened. Another thing, for example, it's people are going to say, for example, oh, that person has had a business where, for example, he had a boat that transported merchandise, and that boat or something happened to that boat, or a tornado or something, natural event happened where the money or the merchandise or things were lost. How does that happen? It's quite simple. It's because of negligence. It is because of negligence. When people, for example, regarding, for example, the boats, there are at certain time, at certain points in, they are signs, and people are advised that no, don't take the boat at that time, at that period, because there's a storm coming, or because there's a tornado coming. There's a warning. They don't look at the weather. You see, so because of their negligence, they will say what is so-called accident, but accident don't happen. It's because events like that happen, crash and so on, is because of negligence. Because people are negligent. For example, you're driving and there's a so-called accident. Well, there's a reason behind. Somebody was distracted. Somebody wasn't paying attention. There is something that going on. Somebody maybe the road was slippery. That person didn't have the correct tires. You see, all this is negligence. It is negligence. Somebody was going too fast. Somebody was drinking. You see, it's negligence. It's not an accident. There's a reason. There is a reason behind everything. And a lot of time is because of negligence. People are negligent. People don't care. People just do things without thinking, without fully understanding the situation, without the spirit of discernment. So, you see those people, the so-called magic wallets, all they want is show off. So they like vanity. They go in clubs, show off, show money off. And they think they're somebody because of that. You see, their ego is filling up their ego. People are looking at them. They think they're a star. They have the money, so they think because they have the money, they're somebody important. It's not because you have money that you become somebody important. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Now we shall go into the book of the prophets, chapter 7, verse 14 to 16. Now it is regarding, now that we have elucidated, we have demonstrated, we've shared what we have received from Zulu Sound, the only teacher, regarding what is behind the magic wallet. And also we've seen the origin of the silver itself and how the currency in the astral, and so the silver in the astral and silver in the visible, and how the current currency, the money, what is behind the demons and so on, and behind the magic wallet, the signs, what it represents, the red, and so on. So we dive into that. Now we're going to see why was the so-called John the Baptist, who is John Guanet, was black. Why did they want to give his head on a silver platter? Like I've mentioned, we shall go into Book of the Prophets, chapter 7, verse 14. Immediately, Lemba said to her mother. So that's after that dance, during that that so-called feast, ceremony, and so on. Immediately, Lemba said to her mother, "What shall I ask, mother?" ? And her mother was instantly inspired by a first order Namululuma Mungulane, in bracket, fallen angel. So, Lemba, she said to her mother, she asked, "What should I ask?" Because the father said, "Ask me things, ask me anything, and I will give it to you." And Lemba said, she went to her mother and asked, "What should I ask for?" And then at that instant, the mother of Lemba, was inspired by who? By a fallen angel of the first order. And we have demonstrated, we have already shown you what they represent, those fallen angels of the first order. They represent silver. They are the one also behind the financial system. Those are the one. And that fallen angel inspired the mother. Verse 15. She replied, "Jongwane's head on a large silver platter." You see, so she was inspired by a fallen angel of the first order to give Jongwane's head on a silver platter. Why would they want to already do that? Why did that fallen angel wanted Jongwane's head, so John the Baptist's head, on a silver platter? As I've shown you, the silver has an origin in the spiritual. So it is a good thing. Silver, the metal, is a good thing. Gold, and so on. And we know that those fallen angels, they want to corrupt everything that is good, everything that comes from the spiritual. They want to corrupt the symbols. They want to corrupt what the initiates use. They want to corrupt everything. That's why they wanted to put Jongwane's head on a silver platter, because the silver platter will represent those fallen angels. And then basically it will be those fallen angels that basically did as if they did the deed. And it will be a sort of offering that you see what we did, and on that silver platter. And the silver platter will represent the fallen angel. And as you know, that if that would to happen, the silver, how do you think the initiates, the people, will see silver after if a powerful prophet's head was given on a silver platter? If they had silver at home, if they had silver plates and so on, you see, it will become now something weird, something like, whoa, that That's the symbol. That's the thing that was used to. That's on what Jongwane's head was delivered. You see, they will try to vilify or corrupt the symbol of silver. You see, and behind it's also it was also a sort of preparation to what they wanted to do. They wanted to corrupt silver, meaning behind the silver, as you know, silver was used as a currency. So they wanted to corrupt the currency that the initiates used. They wanted to corrupt, to make them stop using silver as a currency, to use something else, to change basically the monetary system. The monetary system. That's also the plans that was behind it as well. And it was mentioned in Wunja 38, where regarding the money that the whites will make, because that money, as you said, as I've mentioned, is not silver. It's going to be something else. So that plan was already in preparation. Verse 16. Lemba immediately hastened to her father and asked him, I want you to give me right now the head of Jongwane on a large silver platter. So the first order represents the silver. And like I've mentioned, there's other entities more powerful in the great order of things that did not fall, that have the appearance of silver. And they are more powerful than those fallen angels. So it's not because some fallen angel have the appearance of silver that automatically all the silver is bad. No, there are entities before those fallen angels that already had the appearance of silver, spiritual silver. So also behind how they want to vilify or defile the silver, you can also see that, for example, regarding Dracula, that vampire, he doesn't like silver, right? The silver bullet can kill him. So you see behind that, the spirits are working with those symbols. Now, silver is good. It depends what you do with it. The people, the demons, the people behind the voodoo, all those who are influenced by the occult will try to vilify silver and also money, the monetary system. And that's their deed, their action that are evil, that are bad. But the silver itself, it's good. So now some people are going to say, no, there's a lot of misconception out there that we're going to clarify. People say, for example, no, this person, he made a deal with the devil. No, he did not. Satan doesn't have the power. How is somebody's going to make a deal with the devil for example, that means according to people, they're signing their blood, they're signing their soul to the devil. That means they're giving away their soul to the devil. Since when does the devil or Satan has the power over a soul? It doesn't. He doesn't. Satan cannot kill a soul. He doesn't have a power. Nor Satan, nor the demons, nor the fallen angels. They inspire people, but those people, they don't even see Satan. They don't see the demons. the so-called voodoo, they don't claim to be a priest or in spirits, in spiritism. They'll claim to be powerful. They'll claim to have power. They will be in so much delusion. We are challenging you here. We are challenging you here. There is a more powerful person than you. Zulula tells you this. You are a bandit. You are a tadpole. Less than nothing. There is a powerful visitor here. Zulula San. And that's what he says to you. You're a bandit. You don't have any power. You are a bandit. You are a tadpole. Less than nothing. So, the only power comes from the great order of things. And even beyond that. So, all of you charlatans out there who claims to be powerful, to have seen things in the spiritual, to be dealing with demons and so on. You don't. You're a liar. You're a bandit. You have no power at all. So, you've been exposed. Your lies have been exposed here, and we've shared that exposition. No one sees the demons or Satans. They don't sell their soul to those entities because the only power is the verb of Loba. The verb is the verb of Loba that has the power on everything, on the souls, on the body, on the spirit. Satan doesn't have the power on the soul, cannot kill somebody's soul, cannot take somebody's soul. What is he going to do with that? He does. Come on. So, spiritual liberation is in March. No one can stop that. All glory to Loba, the one and unique creator.